All right. How's everybody doing? It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. Now, they've always taught you this in business school. What they always teach you is as soon as you get into a business, find a way to get out of a business. I never told you the duration, but they always say as soon as you get in, find an exit plan. Now, when I was younger, I'm not going to lie, I always thought that was the dumbest thing. They're like, I'm going to get into business. We're going to keep growing the business, make it bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's going to be great. But in the end, there really is a timeline. There really is. And as I've gotten older, I've realized that, yes, as soon as you get in, you need to have an exit plan. Now, whether that exit plan is 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, or that exit plan is during retirement, we figure out something, you do have to have an exit plan. So when I was younger, I always thought it was a dumb comment. And as I've gotten older, I went, oh, you know what? That is something that we're going to go ahead and need. So let's talk about it. When it comes to exiting out of a business, there are a couple different options. Number one, you can find a buyer and they buy your stock. They buy the certificates inside of your C Corp or S Corp or LLC, whatever, but they buy the certificates and that's how they buy your company. Another way to sell is an asset sale. You take all of your assets, bundle it up and say, for this much money, here's all my assets. And you close your business down on that day and they open up another business name with your assets. The third way, which happens to be the sign world way, is you pass it down to your kids. And it's a generational company. Okay. So you pass it down to your kids or you pass it down to one of your other employees that are in the company and you hand off the company. They pay X amount of dollars for it and you pass it along, generational. Who here truly believes that today they can pass their sign company on to their kids, their siblings, and it's going to go smoothly? One of you, maybe out of all my listeners, maybe one might have a chance. For everybody else, we're just winging it, right? We're just sitting here winging it, trying to figure out how this is going to work when that day magically comes. But as long as we push that timetable further along down the line and we say, oh, next year we'll start showing them the ropes. Oh, next year we'll start showing them the ropes. And it's easy for you, right? You get to be lazy, get to do the day-to-day grind. You get to go home. But what if something happens to you? We hate the word C, the C word, right? Cancer. We hate that word, but it does come up from time to time. And sometimes that little bugger takes us out way faster than we plan to. Do you have a contingency plan? Do you have it set up? So we have a client right now that is looking to come onto the software for SquareQuil. And they're sitting there going, look at pen and paper. We go fly by the seat of our pants. We just have this gut feel. We know what we're doing. We're making good money. It's fine. And I said, that's awesome. Good for you. Congratulations. You have your inner sixth sense is kicking butt. You know exactly what to charge for a project. You can feel the demographics and the economic scale of what to charge, what not to charge. You got all that layout. How is somebody that's going to buy your company going to be able to know that knowledge that's in your head? They can't, can they? You're going to have to teach them. How long did it take you to have learned that perfect sixth sense? 20 years, 25 years? When you plan on selling your company, do you plan on sitting there at that company for another 20 to 25 years until they full on have it or grasp it? I don't know about you, but when I sell a car, what do? I say, hey, here are the keys. It's in great shape. You got any questions? Go ahead and call me. It's fine. And at that moment in time, I truly, in my heart, were willing to help them. As soon as that car leaves that road and goes down around the corner, guess what's going to happen? I don't care. That car is out of my thought process. It's somebody else's problem. And now I have to move on to a different car and a different vehicle somewhere else down the road. And as soon as they call me, I'm annoyed. I'm like, what? Yeah, it's called an oil change. Yeah, 10W40. Yep, no, I understand that. And then they keep calling it a third or fourth time. I'm like, can't you figure it out for your own? I guarantee you, when you sell your business, that's the same thing that's going to happen to you. As soon as you sell that business, you want nothing to do with it. You're going to be thinking about retirement. You're going to be thinking about some island. You're going to put your toes in the sand. You're going to be thinking about anything else but that business. So when you go to sell a company, how are you going to give all that information to your new owner or your son immediately so you can get out of there? How's that going to happen? Have you even thought about this? It's a good question, right? It's a really good question. What is your exit plan and how do you plan on achieving that exit plan? So I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. You need a good software system to give the information. I know I'm just preaching to the choir right now, and most of the people that listen to us are already running SquareQuell, but just hear me out. You might be using the software just to get the jobs done. You might be using the software just for the installation calendar. But are you putting your knowledge and your information into the system in such a way that someone can glean it? I do a project for a pylon sign. We build that pylon sign. I have the materials, I have the labor, I have the costing. I know exactly how we built it, how the job went, were we over budget, under budget. If that same size pylon sign comes down to me again to build it 3 years down the road and the old owner's gone, so what? I got all the information right here. I know exactly how to build it. I know exactly how it's going to get engineered. I can see all of that. I have a client right now, potential client. We're going to call him Sign Company X. And we literally had a 1-page report given to this gal, his daughter, and they literally calling it Coming to the 21st Century. That's the name of the mission they put her daughter on. And they said, can you please find something where we can take our information, our knowledge, dump it into a software, and you can glean the information from it. So she's been talking to us for the last 4 months. And you know what they're stuck on? Where the storage is going to be kept. Now, you guys have all of these, right? It's a little handy dandy phone. And it's got the Apple iCloud, right? The Apple iCloud is in the air, right? It's in the cloud. It's not on any of your servers. You're completely fine with that. But for some odd reason, it has to do with your company data and not the pictures of your grandkids. You freak out. Everybody goes, why is the storage not here in my own place where I can touch it? And it's so funny because on many, many levels, that is a very silly thought process. Number one, if your storage goes out, you're screwed. My storage is backed up 3x. It's never going to disappear, but yours is more than likely. If you have a fire in your building, yours is gone. Mine's in 2 different locations. One's in Las Vegas, one's in Arizona, one's in San Diego. So you have 3 for those who are counting. And then also, mines are always backed up and replaced every 2 years. Is your server replaced every 2 years? Probably not. You probably don't see the value in that of spending another $5 to $6 grand on a new server. So, but you can touch it. And that ability to touch it, that's not that important. I'm going to tell you the one right now. It's not that important to be able to touch it. Having redundancies is important. So right now, I'm just kind of teaching you guys, ask better questions, and you're going to find out that your peace of mind and the insurance policy behind is going to be a lot better. All right. Side note, got off on a little tangent there with the storage. But these people are literally not pulling the trigger on teaching their daughter how to work the sign company because they didn't train her and because all the knowledge is in their head and they don't know how to disseminate the information. For all of you people that have a business out there right now, what's your exit strategy? That's a question you should be asking yourself once a month, in all honesty. What is my exit strategy? How I'm setting it up for it. So let's take software and put it off to the side right now. What happens when you go to sell your house? What do? You fix that little squeak in the wall. It's been bugging you for years. And you finally fix it. The little nick in the wall, you're going to go ahead and stucco it and you're going to patch it and you're going to paint it, right? And you're going to clean your house up and your house is going to be the most beautiful it's ever been right before you walk out the door, right? Right before you sell it. Because you're trying to give the best version of itself so you get the most money out of it. How many of you have employees? Those employees shouldn't really be employees anymore. You're holding on to them because you're just too lazy to let them go because they're not fitting the bill. How many of you have old trucks that are on their last leg and they're pretty scary to drive, but you're still allowing them on the road? You see where I'm going with this. Clean up your company. Clean it up. Dial it in. Get the employees in there that need to be to affect positive change. Take care of your trucks or get rid of them so it's safety. Clean up your shop and make it as beautiful as possible so the next person that takes it is excited to have it versus living in the dumps that some of us might be in. To be very honest with you, when I was doing a lot of the training and I go to some of these sign companies, holy moly, are we pack rats? Us sign dogs are pack rats. Holy moly. We need to be able to throw that out, clean it up, have a nice clean place. When you're doing that, I bet you when you're cleaning up shop, you're going to realize that a lot of this knowledge is in your head and you're not in somebody else's head. And if you were to disseminate that information into somewhere, into something that someone can go back and read, a booklet, a manual, some SOPs, you're going to find it's going to be a whole lot easier to hand that torch off. Now, I've always said, do you want to be rich or you want to be king? For the people that want to be king, your crown will always have to be passed down at all times. How you do that's completely up to you. Now, I will say, the more graceful you pass the crown, the easier it's going to be for your life and the other person's life. The harder you hold on to that crown and say, I'm king, I can do it all, and don't pass off the information, the more painful and slippery slope that's going to be. Word of the wise, I've been there. I've watched it. I've seen it happen. I've seen it tear families apart when the king does not want to give up the crown. And it's really sad because at some point in time, and as much as I hate to say it, all of us lose a step. We all lose a step. You got to know when it's time. And you can't do it when you're on your deathbed. You got to do it ahead of time. You guys remember The Godfather, right? Quinceañera. Godfather always go back and ask him questions, see what's going on. Wouldn't it be nice if the person that takes over your company and continues to grow that baby you've held for so long has a chance to come back and ask you questions so you can guide them and nurture them and make them and do the best they can with them? Don't you wait around for that? It all comes to how you disseminate the information. Now, when we built SquareCoil, it was just an organizational tool. We had no idea it was actually going to be used for companies to be brought on. And so then they can sell the company faster, cleaner, slicker, easier, because a new owner knew what was going on because they had all the information in the software. It was a byproduct. We weren't even thinking those terms. We're just thinking organization, but it happens. And so now that I'm seeing these companies that are coming ready to come on board and their fears or anxiety, it's misplaced fear and anxiety. It really is at the end of the day. It's misplaced. You're more scared of passing the torch than you are jumping to the next cool thing inside of the industry. You're not really worried about software. You're not really worried about the new channel letter bender. What you're worried about is passing the torch or not being relevant anymore. I promise you, you will always be relevant. I promise you, people are always going to need you as the industry grows and as your company grows. I promise you're still going to be relevant. But if your grip is so strong on that crown that you can't pass it off, and then when it's too late and you don't have the wherewithal, the brain power to pass off your knowledge, now it's lost. What happens when knowledge is lost? It's biblical, right? We've seen it throughout all society. Societies fall, they crumble, the knowledge wasn't passed on. For you guys, I implore you to please, please, please pass your information along, give it a vessel to which it can be passed along, and then watch the company that you work so hard for to thrive and grow. I mean, isn't that the best feeling in the world? If you started a company that's at 40 employees and you pass it on and become 60 employees, 70 employees, what a big monster that becomes. How cool is that? I don't know about you, but that make me feel good right about here. So good luck to you guys passing the torch. It's a big one. It's a big step. There's way more mental hurdles than there are physical, but I'm sure you can get through it. Good luck to you.